Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into one of the biggest yet somehow quietest financial holes on the planet, a shortfall that affects pretty much everything, from our economy all the way to our climate. All right, let's just jump right in with a huge number, $942 billion. And nope, that's not a typo. It's a massive gap that's actually getting bigger every year.
So what is this number? Well, it's the difference between what we're currently spending to protect and restore the natural world and what scientists and economists say we actually need to be spending. The scary part? With investment not even keeping up with inflation, that gap is just getting wider.
To really get our heads around why this is such a big deal, we got to ask a pretty basic question, right? What is nature actually worth to our economy in dollars and cents?
Okay, get this. According to a deep dive by PwC, an estimated $58 trillion of global economic activity is moderately or highly dependent on nature. That's trillion with a T. And that $58 trillion, to put it another way, that's over half, 55% of the entire world's GDP. Think about that. More than half of our global economy relies on nature, from farming and forestry to tourism and medicine.
I love this quote from former Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson. He says, "Our whole economic system is just completely undervaluing what nature provides. We're getting all these benefits for free without really accounting for them and basically sleepwalking towards the edge of a cliff."
So there's this massive disconnect, right? Nature is incredibly valuable, but we're barely investing in it. Let's break down what that nearly $1 trillion shortfall actually looks like. And the scale of this problem is, well, it's huge. Right now, we're spending about $208 billion a year. But where we need to be by 2030? Over $1 trillion. Every single year. That's a five-fold jump we need to make, like, yesterday.
Okay, so with a gap that big, you have to ask, where is the money that is being spent actually coming from? And maybe more importantly, what powerful forces are working against us? Well, for starters, most of it, a whopping 83%, is public money. We're talking government spending. The private sector, they're only chipping in about 17%, a much, much smaller slice of the pie. And if we zoom in on what governments are spending on international aid, the picture gets even more lopsided. Money for climate projects overseas is almost 9 times higher than money for biodiversity. That really tells you where the priorities are, doesn't it? But wait, it gets crazier. This might be the most jaw-dropping part. We spend that $208 billion trying to protect nature, right? At the very same time, governments around the world are spending an estimated $2.6 trillion on subsidies that actively harm it. Things like support for fossil fuels and unsustainable farming. Let me say that again. We're spending over 12 times more to wreck nature than to save it. It's unbelievable. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. We have tools to fix this, but it's kind of a mixed bag right now. On the one hand, things like debt for nature swaps are really taking off. They hit a record in 2023. But on the other hand, a big market like nature-based carbon offsets, it's totally slumped, dropping by more than half since its peak. So what this tells us is it's not just about more money, it's about smarter money. We have to aim it where it'll do the most good. So the big question is, how do we figure that out? Well, luckily, there's a playbook for this.
BNEF actually has this great 3-step framework. It's simple, really. First, you ask, where is nature thriving right now? That's presence. Second, where does it provide the most value to us humans? And third, the big one, where is it in the most danger?
And when you run the world through that filter, a few key places pop right to the top of the list. We're talking Brazil, China, Indonesia, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Colombia. These are the hotspots where investment can make the biggest possible difference. Okay, so this brings us to the final and maybe the most important piece of this whole story. Because what we're talking about here isn't just about nature going broke, it's bigger than that. It's about how everything is connected.
The truth is, climate change and losing biodiversity, they're not two separate problems. They are two sides of the exact same coin. Climate change hammers nature, and when nature's weak, it can't help us fight climate change by, storing carbon. One just makes the other worse, and it becomes a vicious cycle.
And we're back to Hank Paulson, who just nails it here. He calls them twin crises. You can't fix one without fixing the other. It's really that simple.
So that leaves us with one last really critical question. We know these two things are deeply connected, right? So can we really solve the climate crisis if we just let nature go bankrupt? When you put it that way, the answer feels pretty obvious, doesn't it?